Okay, for number 10, given the statement, you're supposed to write it in the if-then form. It's converse, it's inverse, and it's contrapositive. So you could say something like this: if an angle is a straight angle, then its measure is 180. Now, if you said, and then from off that, from that statement, you're going to state your converse, your inverse, and your contrapositive. Now, if you said on the test, if an angle measures 180 degrees, then it is a straight angle, that would be appropriate as well, and then build your converse and inverse and contrapositive off of that. But I'm just going with this statement here. Remember, again, the converse is the reverse. You're swapping your if and your then statement. So my then statement will become my if statement, and I need to include the subject. So if an angle, if the measure of an angle is 180, or if an angle measures 180 degrees, then it is a straight angle. So the then part of my original statement becomes the if part, including the subject, and the if part of my original statement becomes my then in the converse. Okay, so we're just flip-flopping the if and then statements. And then the inverse is built off of your original if and then. The inverse is the negation of your if and then parts of your statement. Negation meaning your positives become negatives, your negatives become positives, or yes is no's and no's yes. So if an angle is a straight angle, it becomes if an angle is not a straight angle. Then it measures 180 degrees becomes then its measure is not 180 degrees. That's the inverse. And there's a couple ways you can build your contrapositive. You can take your inverse and reverse it. The contrapositive is the reverse or the converse of the inverse. So then its measures not 180 becomes your if statement. If an angle's measure is not 180, then your if part becomes your then it is not a straight angle. Or I could take my converse and negate it. All right, so that's number 10. Number 11, if the inverse of a conditional statement is true, what other form of the conditional statement will be true? Remember, we talked about equivalent statements. Your converse and your inverse are equivalent. That means they're either both true or both false. So if the inverse is true for a conditional statement, the converse will be also. And that leaves us with the other pair that are also equivalent statements. Your original if-then and your contrapositive are either going to be both true or both false. Again, those are called equivalent statements.